Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is June 14th, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see British Columbia, Washington, Oregon. Check out some of the lenticular cloud activity here off the Cascades of Washington, Oregon as we speak, and kind of see this moist, stable flow here on the southern periphery of this trough here across the Gulf of Alaska, and that's what's going to bring us our active weather here over the next few days. We're going to dive into those details here as we go through the video this morning. Taking a look at Seattle National Weather Service, you can see for Saturday, many areas of western Washington down towards some portions of northern Oregon, including Portland, as we go through tomorrow. And there's the potential for some thunderstorm activity here on Sunday and even Monday across some of the Pacific Northwest. We'll dive into some of that detail also here in a moment. Taking a look at the Spirit Prediction Center, you can see that it does include Seattle, Portland, and Spokane for the day Saturday. Taking a look at the light mountain snows we are expecting here Friday night through Saturday morning. Accumulations generally less than 2 inches, about 5,000 feet. Temperatures in the low to mid 30s, so it could be pretty raw out there. Some gusty winds as well, so be prepared for those cold temperatures if you are out and about this weekend. Also increased fire concerns for today. Spokane National Weather Service and Pendleton National Weather Service calling attention to this. Some dry conditions and some gusty winds can help spread some of those grass fires across eastern Oregon, eastern Washington, and obey those burn bans. Pendleton, Oregon National Weather Service there. And just a heads up here across Idaho, higher terrain, western Montana, potential for hypothermia if unprepared. So be ready for this. This is Sunday, June 16th through June 18th. We've got this colder air mass moving across a lot of the Pacific Northwest. Some of those high elevation roadways may be snow covered. Take a look at Seattle yesterday. A pretty nice day again yesterday. I mean, 68 degrees, very comfortable out there. A little bit below average for this time of year for the most part. And we've definitely backed off those gusty winds we had a couple days ago on June 11th. They're 39 miles per hour with that storm system. So a couple breezy systems so far through the first half of June here, and one more coming, but probably not so much on the wind side versus the unstable atmosphere and thunderstorm potential. Now taking a look at the European model, this is at 18,000 feet, 500 millibars. You can see the Gulf of Alaska here, and you can definitely see it's packing a punch here with this low pressure system. This troughing that's going to move towards the Pacific Northwest takes up residence here right across BC, Washington, Oregon, and it's going to hang out for a bit here as we go on in through the day Monday before this finally starts to kick off to the east here across the Intermountain West. And we try to build a little bit of ridging here. You see that try to nose in at the very end of the run. That's what we'll be watching to see if we can get a bounce back in some of our temperatures as we go on in through next week. Taking a look here at what's going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere. This is actual temperature at 18,000 feet. This is 500 millibars again, and you can see the chilly air out across the Gulf of Alaska, some of western British Columbia here, and this will be pivoting in as we go through the day today and really be setting up shop by the time we go into tomorrow morning. Look, some of these temperatures really drop off here across Washington and British Columbia, and then we hang with this all the way on in through Sunday. You can see the back edge of this trough trying to swing through here as we go through the day Monday, and then eventually on into Tuesday here as we got some cold air aloft we'll be dealing with. Now taking a look at 10,000 feet, 700 millibars, something similar here as well. I just kind of like to show these visual diagrams of what's going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And you can see this swinging through here as we go through the day Saturday. We start to modify things a bit here as we go through Sunday, but you can see that cold air is going to still be with us here. So there is going to be thunderstorm potential with us on the day Sunday also. So looking at the European model, lightning flash density potential. So let's scroll through today, and you can see there, you cannot rule out a thunderstorm across some of southwest BC, maybe northwest Washington here as we go through this afternoon. But as you'll see, when we go through the day Saturday here, the biggest threat for western Washington anyway, and some areas like down towards Portland, maybe Astoria, is going to be on the day Saturday. Check it out. You can see some of these showers bubbling around here, thunderstorm potential, even across some of the higher terrain in northeast Washington, British Columbia, some of the Rocky Mountains, Idaho, and Montana on Saturday also. And then we're going to scroll through Sunday here briefly also. It does show some of this lightning potential still out there for western Washington down towards Portland again on Sunday. We'll be watching that, especially as we go on in through the day tomorrow also. Then we go through Monday one more time here as that cold air is still going to be with us, but that chance shifting east of the mountains most likely on the day Monday as that colder air moves across the Intermountain West. Now, taking a look at the North American model, this is 3 kilometer high resolution. I want to kind of show you some of these terrain features that go on here across some of Western Washington, because some interesting stuff coming. You can see as we go through the day today, it tries to form a little bit of a convergence zone, some westerlies down the Strait of Juan de Fuca, meeting up with the Chehalis Gap winds, southwest winds. But the big show is going to be here on Saturday, at least potentially anyway. And as you can see, as we go through the day Saturday, watch this westerly surge come here, and you can see the strong southwesterlies coming through this gap in the terrain here known as the Chehalis Gap. And of course, you got the Olympic Mountains here, much higher. And then you've got the sea level gap here across the Strait of Juan de Fuca. So you bring those westerlies through and you start to create these convergence zones here across the central Puget Sound. And that's probably going to be when the biggest chance of thunderstorm activity is. You can see some of these northerlies trying to surge down the Puget Sound here. And this is what I call the Olympic Mountain velocity shear zone. So you got some of these strong southwesterly winds, and you got these northerly winds just to the north here. And you can create this pinwheel effect. So if you get the right combination of an updraft, a stronger updraft with one of these showers moving across this area, you can get even some rotation in some of these storms, some funnel cloud activity. And again, this is what fired off that EF2 tornado there, Port Orchard, Gig Harbor area out there across the Kitsap Peninsula back in 2018. I've also seen this several times produce funnel clouds and actually come close to producing tornadic activity at times. But most of our tornadoes are very weak and brief here across the Pacific Northwest, except for the rare times that they aren't. As we found out in 2018 and some other times, we can get some stronger tornado activity here across the Pacific Northwest. Not that we're expecting that this time, but I just like to point out these terrain features here spawned by the Olympic Mountains that can produce some of those rotating showers. Now, taking a look at the wind gusts here. So again, I want to call attention to the higher terrain here. Again, it's going to be cold. This cold air mass is going to be moving up over the area here. As we go through the day Saturday, you can see some of these blustery winds out there. Nothing too crazy, but across the Cascades and the east slopes here down the Strait of Juan de Fuca, Whidbey Island, you're going to get some gusty winds, maybe up towards 40 miles per hour with some of that activity here as well. And then you can kind of see we relax that gradient a bit here as we go through Sunday afternoon. Now, looking at convective available potential energy, you see we do destabilize the atmosphere here a bit as we go through this afternoon. Again, the best values across some of southwest BC here, northwest Washington, and then you can see the daytime heating. We lose that instability there as we go on through Saturday morning, and then it starts to rebuild during the day Saturday. You can see some of these impressive values show up for Saturday afternoon, and that's why we're dealing with this thunderstorm threat here as we go through the day tomorrow across the region. Then we'll scroll on in through Sunday. And the North American model does show a little bit of instability Sunday afternoon also, but we'll revisit that one tomorrow. Taking a look at composite reflectivity of the high resolution rapid refresh. Let's scroll through this. You can see some of the shower activity moving through the late morning and afternoon hours. Again, the strongest stuff across northwest Washington, southwest BC. Moving across the areas we go through the day today, and you can see some of that the convergence zone activity there across some Skagit, Whatcom County as we go through tonight. Then you can see the colder air starts to arrive here as we go through Saturday morning. Here, some heavier showers could be moving into the area, and we'll scroll through the late morning hours of Saturday towards noon, early afternoon. You see some of these robust showers forming across western Washington. That one is of note right here. That would be some of these northerlies pushing down the Puget Sound here, creating that convergence at the surface. The air has nowhere to go but up, and it will be unstable in the upper levels of the atmosphere there. So you could be kicking off some thunderstorm activity here as we go through Saturday afternoon, and some of those winds are going to be coming down to the northwest. You can get convergence zone activity here as it wraps around Vancouver Island also, and some of these northwest winds can even meet up with some of the Chehalis Gap winds at times when things line up right, and you can get thunderstorm activity with that and convergence zone activity. And you can see this extends on into tomorrow night, kind of targeting some of the central Cascades as well as some locally higher amounts and some locally higher snowfall amounts even across the higher peaks could be arriving with that. So if we take a look at the European model here, this is last night's run. I'll put this into motion, and you can see again the increase of precipitation today, mainly across British Columbia, but you can't rule out showers across western Washington. We go through tomorrow morning, you can really see the trough is going to be overhead here and dropping some precipitation for some areas. But again, these are going to be hit and miss here as we go through the day. So some people are definitely going to be getting higher amounts versus others as we go through the day Saturday. And then the trough will be overhead as we go through Sunday. You can see redevelopment of showers through the afternoon hours. showers. And then this finally starts to pivot through a bit here on Monday afternoon. And as we go through Tuesday, starting to kick off to the east a bit more by Wednesday afternoon. Maybe some showers across the higher terrain, but definitely weakening at that point. Taking a look at total snow, Kuchera ratio in inches. This takes into account some of the temperatures in the lowest levels of the atmosphere here, so it doesn't just take a blind 10-to-1 ratio. It's not a perfect predictor here, but it does give us an idea of what may be occurring. So as we go through tonight and tomorrow morning, you can see some of the higher terrain of the Cascades. Even Stevens Pass showing up here at times, picking up a few inches of snow. So again, heads up if you're off across the backcountry, camping trips, outdoor activities here, watch out for that because it's going to be raw across the backcountry for sure. Taking a look at daily minimum 2-meter temperature. This is for Saturday morning. You can see things are pretty chilly across the higher terrain, especially. And then we go through Sunday morning, that kind of widespread cooler conditions here across eastern Oregon, eastern Washington. So just keep that in the back of your mind. As we go through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can see how we moderate these temperatures as that upper level low gets out of our region here and we warm up a bit as we go through next weekend. Taking a look at apparent temperature. So I'll show you how we warm up during the daytime here. Then we're going to cool down tonight. And again, raw conditions across the mountainous areas. We try to warm up tomorrow, but there's going to be a lot of cloud cover out there. You can see Seattle maybe not even getting up towards 60 degrees, but any sun breaks that we do get will help destabilize that atmosphere as well. So if you're out in an area that's getting sun breaks, especially across some of the central Puget Sound there, or maybe Portland, for example, and then you see a band of showers coming, you end up getting up towards 65, or maybe if Seattle hits 60 or 61, you're probably going to add a little bit of fuel to that convective available potential energy. So anyway, we scroll on in through Sunday morning and you can see some of these chilly temperatures out here. This is taking wind chill into account as well. And you can see some of these temperatures are going to feel like they're in the low 20s. So heads up for that. We'll continue to scroll through this and you can see how as we go on in towards, this will be Tuesday right there. Now we're going to scroll on in through Wednesday. You can see how we warm up as we start to head on in through the week. There's Thursday. Look at that, 77 for Seattle. Some 80s return to the Willamette Valley here as well. And those chilly temperatures across some of the higher terrain are a distant memory. Now taking a look at 2-meter temperature anomalies. So you can kind of see as we go through the upcoming days here, this goes through the weekend. You can clearly see that upper level trough here keeping our temperatures suppressed across the Pacific Northwest. Now we're scrolling in through Sunday and Monday. And look at see these temperatures approaching 25 degrees below normal for this time of year across some areas of Oregon, Idaho, Nevada, Montana. So heads up if you're off traveling about and off in the backcountry. Then we scroll through the end of the week and you can see the bounce back and the return of some above average conditions potentially arriving here also. So we'll be watching that as well. Now, if we scroll off far enough into the GFS, it's been showing another trough as we go through the end of June as well. So kind of a little bit of a roller coaster ride here. Not unheard of at this time of year. It's not that out of the norm. But if we take a look here at the European model, you can see the storm system swinging through. That is this weekend. Trough kind of hanging out there as we go on into Monday, moving off to the east. And then we try to build some of this ridging back in here as we go on in through the next weekend and on in through the early portion of the following week. But the European also showing some kind of troughing here as we go on in through the later portion of June as well. Plenty of time to worry about that, though. GFS, let's take a look at what it shows in the extended forecast. We already have some idea, but there goes the troughing going through there, hanging on into next week. And then we try to build a little bit of ridging in here as we go towards the end of next week. No promises just yet. It's still a little early to be talking about that really as far as any details. But then you can see that trough coming in at the later portion of June. Looking at Seattle, the next few days, of course, the upper level low is going to be around. We're going to keep our temperature suppressed, and then we're going to bounce back here towards the end of the week. Look at this. Some 80s might even be returning, at least according to yesterday afternoon's European model. Seattle, we're not talking about a big washout here. I don't want to give people the idea that we're getting some huge rainstorm out of this because some areas are definitely going to get less than others. And you can see Seattle, maybe a quarter of an inch right now is what the ensembles are saying. But of course, locally higher amounts. And you can see Painfield, Everett, here we go, looking a bit further north where they might get some more precipitation out of this convergence zone. You could be talking about a half an inch there. And this is Portland, kind of a mixed signal here as well, somewhere right around a quarter or maybe a third of an inch of precip. And if we look off down towards Eugene, lesser amounts the further south you go here as we go on into the day, Sunday and on into Monday, maybe another round of showers. Now here's the 6 to 10 day above average signal starting to emerge here that we've been talking about a little bit. We'll work out those details here over the next few days. And 6 to 10 day precipitation, a little bit of an above average signal here. And then if we look at the fire danger, you can see NW10 includes Spokane, Ritzville, Moses Lake, the Tri-Cities out there, and portions of northern Oregon. We are in that elevated risk, and that's what Spokane and Pendleton have been talking about here. Those gusty winds, dry conditions out there could kick off some of those fire conditions. But yeah, anyway, this will be fun to watch here as we go in through. We got one more day to look at this tomorrow. I'll try to do my briefing a little bit earlier here so we can kind of see what is going on. But some of these showers are going to be already rolling through by the time I wake up tomorrow. So yeah, it's here. It's on its way, and it's going to be bringing some below normal conditions here, temperature-wise, across much of the region. And I know everybody usually gets, or the weather weenies here across Pacific Northwest really get excited because lightning is such a rare thing here across Pacific Northwest. And so everybody's going to be out there trying to, hear that rumble of thunder. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, we will do this all again tomorrow, and I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Click like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys then.